The galactic deception captain Elena Vasquez stood in the darkness of her quarters aboard the orbital station New Geneva. The blue glow from her computer screen cast shadows across her tired face. For 3 months, she had been investigating strange reports from the outer colonies, reports that made no sense, reports that kept her awake at night. The Prosperity Program had been humanity's greatest success story. For 60 years, Earth had sent volunteers to work across the galaxy. Young people eager to explore new worlds. Families seeking better lives among the stars. Engineers, farmers, teachers, and laborers all answered the call. The Alien Confederation promised good wages, safe working conditions, and the chance to represent humanity among the stars. Alina had believed in the program. Her own sister Maria had left for the Kepler system 5 years ago. Maria was supposed to be teaching human children on a beautiful garden world. Her letters spoke of crystal cities and friendly aliens. But the letters had stopped coming too. Years ago, the Confederation said communication delays were normal across such vast distances. Now Alina knew why the letters had stopped. Her fingers trembled as she opened the encrypted file. Agent Torres had died getting this information off. The mining world, Zerion Prime. The file contained documents that should not exist. Shipping manifests that listed humans as cargo. Work schedules that showed 18-hour shifts with no rest. Medical reports describing malnutrition and exhaustion. But the worst document was at the bottom of the file. It was written in the formal script of the Galactic Confederation Council. The title made Elena's blood run cold. Resolution 2847 Authorization for full implementation of the Terran Labor Resource Program. She read the document 3 times before its meaning sank in. The Confederation had voted on humanity's fate. Every single member species had participated. The vote was recorded in careful detail. 1,247 species voted in favor. 0 voted against. 0 abstained. The resolution was clear. Humans would serve as the primary labor force for galactic civilization. They would work without wages. They would live in designated housing. They would reproduce under controlled conditions to maintain population levels. They would never return to Earth alive. Scrolled through the supporting documents. Economic projections showed how human labor would boost galactic prosperity by 300%. Biological studies proved humans could survive in environments deadly to most aliens. Psychological profiles demonstrated that humans would work harder when they believed they were helping their families. The deception was perfect. Earth believed it was sending volunteers to better lives. The galaxy knew it was importing slaves. Elena's door chimed. She quickly closed the file and activated the security locks. Admiral Chen Rodriguez entered. His weathered face showed the strain of command. His grey hair was disheveled from running his hands through it, a habit he had developed since the reports started coming in. Alina had worked with Rodriguez for 10 years. He was a good man who genuinely cared about human lives, which made what she had to tell him even harder. Rodriguez sat down heavily in the chair across from her desk. He looked older than his 65 years. Alina, please tell me Torres found something we can work with. Some proof that this is all a misunderstanding. Alina activated her holographic display. The alien documents appeared in the air between them. Rodriguez read in silence. She watched his expression change from hope to confusion to rage. His hands clenched into fists as he reached the vote tally. Every single species, Rodriguez said quietly. Even the ones we considered friends. Even the ones that invited our children to their worlds. Alina nodded. The Zeltrons hosted our cultural exchange students. They voted yes. The Aquatic Alliance praised our environmental expertise. They voted yes. The Crystal Empire called us their honored partners. They voted yes. Rodriguez stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars looked peaceful and distant. But now, Alina knew those stars hid a terrible truth. Somewhere in that darkness, 4.2 billion humans were enslaved. They were mining toxic metals on airless worlds. They were cleaning waste in alien cities. They were fighting in gladiator pits for entertainment. The Admiral turned back to face her. How long have they been planning this? Alina brought up another document. This one was older, stamped with dates from decades past. According to this, they began detailed planning 90 years ago. Long before they made first contact with Earth, they studied our transmissions, learned our languages, and developed the perfect approach. She highlighted key sections of the document. They knew we were social creatures who valued family bonds, so they created family-oriented programs. They knew we were curious about the universe, so they offered exploration opportunities. They knew we wanted to help others, so they asked for our expertise. Every aspect of first contact was designed to make us trust them, Alina continued. The technology gifts, the cultural exchanges, the promises of galactic citizenship. It was all bait for the trap. Rodriguez pulled up the casualty reports. These showed the darker side of the alien plan. Humans died regularly in their work assignments. Industrial accidents, exposure to toxic environments, and simple exhaustion claimed lives daily. The aliens kept detailed records of death rates and productivity levels. They calculated the optimal balance between work output and human survival. On some worlds, humans lasted an average of 2 years, Rodriguez read from the reports. On others, they managed 5 years before dying. The aliens factored this into their labor recruitment numbers. They knew exactly how many humans they needed to request from Earth each year. Alina felt sick reading the medical data. Humans were given just enough food to remain functional. They received minimal medical care. They lived in crowded dormitories with poor sanitation. Many developed diseases that were easily treatable but were left to suffer because treatment was expensive. The psychological control methods were even more disturbing. The aliens used drugs to alter human brain chemistry. They induced depression and helplessness to prevent rebellion. They separated families and friends to eliminate support networks. They punished any human who showed leadership qualities. But the most effective control method was hope. The aliens allowed humans to send occasional messages home. These messages were censored and rewritten to sound positive. Families on Earth received letters describing wonderful adventures and promising visits home soon. The lies kept humans compliant and encouraged more volunteers to leave Earth. Rodriguez activated his communication system. Get me President Mitchell on a secure channel. Priority Alpha. Alina watched him prepare for the most difficult conversation of his career. How do you tell the leader of humanity that 4 billion of their people are slaves? How do you explain that 60 years of galactic friendship was an elaborate deception? President Sarah Mitchell appeared on the holographic display. She was in her office in Geneva, surrounded by alien artifacts that now seemed sinister rather than beautiful. The expression on her face suggested she already suspected bad news. Madam President, Rodriguez began, we have confirmed the worst-case scenario. The Prosperity Program is a slave labor operation. Every human who left Earth is being held against their will. President Mitchell's face went pale. She sat down slowly in her chair. Her hands shook as she reached for a glass of water. All of them, she asked quietly. All of them, Alina confirmed. 4.2 billion people across 837 worlds. They are working without pay in dangerous conditions. Many are dying. The president was quiet for several minutes. Alina could see her processing the magnitude of the betrayal. Families across Earth had sent their children to what they thought were better lives. Instead, they had delivered them to slavery. What about the alien ambassadors here on Earth? President Mitchell asked. Do they know? Alina displayed another document. Not only do they know, they are actively maintaining the deception. The cultural centers, the technology exchanges, the friendship festivals. It is all designed to keep us sending more people and to prevent us from investigating the truth. Rodriguez leaned forward. Madam President, we need to discuss our response options. This cannot continue. President Mitchell looked older than her 70 years. Her silver hair seemed whiter in the harsh light of her office. What are our options? Can we negotiate for their return? Alina and Rodriguez exchanged glances. They had already discussed this possibility. The economic projections and the alien documents made it clear that human labor was fundamental to galactic prosperity. The aliens would never voluntarily give up such a valuable resource. Madam President, Alina said carefully, the documents indicate that human labor generates trillions of credits annually for the galactic economy. The aliens view us as livestock, not as people. They will not negotiate our freedom. Then what do you suggest? President Mitchell asked. Rodriguez activated a new display. For the past year, we have been developing contingency plans under Project Phoenix. We hoped we would never need them. But given this situation, we may have no choice. The display showed Earth's hidden military preparations, deep space shipyards that did not appear on any public records, weapons, research facilities buried beneath mountain ranges, technologies that officially did not exist. We cannot match their fleets in open combat, Rodriguez explained. But we do not need to. We have other advantages. We have been studying their technology for 60 years. We have humans on every major world who can act as intelligence assets. And we have weapons they do not expect. President Mitchell studied the classified projects. Chemical weapons designed to target alien biology, computer viruses that could destroy their communication networks, nanotechnology that could disable their ships and space stations. You are talking about genocide, she said quietly. Alina felt the weight of that word. Genocide was humanity's darkest legacy, the deliberate destruction of entire peoples. But what were they supposed to do? Leave 4 billion humans in slavery? Madam President, Alina said, they made this choice when they voted to enslave our species. Every single alien civilization agreed to participate. They showed us exactly how much mercy we can expect from them. Rodriguez nodded grimly. We will give them one chance to return our people voluntarily. If they refuse, then we implement Phoenix protocols. President Mitchell closed her eyes. When she opened them again, Alina saw the resolve of a leader who had made an impossible choice. How long do we give them? 30 days, Rodriguez replied. Enough time to organize the logistics, but not enough time for them to prepare defenses. And if they refuse, then they will learn why humanity survived when 99% of species on our world went extinct, Alina said. They will learn what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. President Mitchell activated her own communication system. Get me the Confederation ambassador. Tell him I need to speak with the Galactic Council immediately. As the call connected, Alina felt a cold certainty settle in her stomach. The aliens had made their choice 60 years ago when they voted to enslave humanity. Soon they would discover the consequences of that choice. The countdown to war had begun. Asterisk, the human responster. Grand Assembly Hall on Nexus Prime had never hosted a meeting quite like this one. Representatives from 1,247 species filled the vast chamber, their various forms creating a living rainbow of galactic diversity. At the center of the hall, a small delegation of humans stood at the speaker's podium. President Sarah Mitchell had insisted on delivering Earth's message personally. Standing beside her were Admiral Rodriguez, Captain Vasquez, and Dr. Marcus Webb, Earth's leading expert on alien biology. Behind them, the holographic displays showed images that made the assembled aliens uncomfortable. Pictures of human slaves, documentation of brutal working conditions, and mortality statistics that revealed the true cost of galactic prosperity. Chancellor Vextel of the hegemony species called for order. His crystalline form reflected the chamber's lights as he spoke in the formal tones of galactic diplomacy. Honored President Mitchell, the Galactic Confederation has reviewed your allegations. We find them regrettable but necessary for the greater good of galactic civilization. President Mitchell felt anger burning in her chest, but her voice remained steady. Chancellor, we are not here to discuss the morality of your choices. We are here to inform you of ours. She activated the main holographic display. It showed a countdown timer. The numbers glowed red against the dark background. 30 days, 16 hours, 23 minutes, and 14 seconds. In 30 days, President Mitchell announced, you will return every human being to Earth. You will provide transportation, medical care, and compensation for 60 years of stolen labor. You will dissolve the prosperity program and acknowledge your crimes against humanity. The chamber erupted in what could only be described as laughter. Thousands of aliens made sounds of amusement in hundreds of different ways. The crystalline beings chimed like broken glass. The gas-form entities vibrated with mirth. The aquatic species produced bubbling sounds of derision. Chancellor Vextel raised his appendages for silence. President Mitchell, surely you understand the impossibility of your demands. Your species provides the foundation of our economic system. Without human labor, galactic civilization would collapse into chaos. Ambassador Crattle of the Trade Federation leaned forward. His insectoid features clicked with amusement. Perhaps humans do not comprehend the mathematics of their situation. Earth possesses perhaps 200 warships. The Confederation commands over 50,000 vessels. Your entire military could not capture a single one of our systems. Dr. Webb stepped forward. His calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the alien arrogance surrounding them. Ambassador Kitao, you are correct about our fleet numbers, but you seem to have forgotten something important about humans. What is that? The ambassador asked, his mandibles clicking with curiosity. We are very good at making friends, Dr. Webb replied. The statement seemed meaningless to the aliens. They continued to discuss Earth's military weakness and the impossibility of human resistance. President Mitchell let them talk while she thought about the preparations happening across human space. For 2 years, Earth's best scientists had worked in absolute secrecy. They had developed 3 weapons systems that existed in violation of every galactic treaty. weapons that humanity had never intended to use until they discovered the truth about the Prosperity Program. The first weapon was elegant in its simplicity. Nanobots, smaller than bacteria, designed to consume specific alien technologies. For 60 years, human engineers had worked on alien equipment. They had learned its composition, its weaknesses, and its vulnerabilities. The nanobots were programmed to target the quantum crystals that powered alien civilization. The second weapon targeted alien biology. Human scientists had collected genetic samples from every species during decades of cultural exchange. They had mapped alien immune systems, identified vulnerabilities, and developed targeted pathogens. Each virus was species-specific and absolutely lethal to its intended target. The third weapon was perhaps the most devastating, a quantum virus designed to spread through the galactic communication network. It would shut down everything from navigation systems to life support controls. Planets would lose contact with their colonies. Ships would drift helplessly in space. The Great Confederation would become a collection of isolated worlds. But the aliens did not know about any of this. They saw humans as primitive creatures with limited technology and even more, limited imagination. Chancellor Vextel called the assembly to order once again. President Mitchell, the Confederation has reached a decision. Your demands are rejected. Furthermore, your insolent behavior demonstrates that Earth requires closer supervision. We are prepared to establish direct control over your world. He activated his own display. It showed the Confederation's Third Fleet, over 1,000 warships moving toward Earth's solar system. You have 72 hours to surrender your government and accept Confederation authority. Resistance will be met with planetary bombardment, President. Mitchell looked round the chamber at 1,247 species that had just voted to destroy her world. She thought about the 4 billion humans suffering in slavery across the galaxy. She thought about the families who would never see their loved ones again. She thought about the children being born into bondage on distant worlds. Chancellor, she said quietly, you have made your choice. Now you will live with the consequences. She activated her own communication device. Admiral Rodriguez, this is Code Phoenix. Repeat, Code Phoenix. The aliens looked confused. They had monitored human communications for decades and had never heard this code before. But in secret facilities across Earth, automated systems began their deadly work. The first nanobots had been deployed months ago, hidden in trade goods and cultural exchange packages. They had spread across the galaxy in the holds of merchant ships and the luggage of diplomats. Now they activated simultaneously on thousands of worlds. Alien technology began to fail. Quantum crystals that had powered their civilization for millennia simply stopped working. Ships lost power and drifted. Helplessly, cities went dark as their energy grids collapsed. Communication networks went silent as relay stations shut down. The second wave of attack targeted alien biology. Microscopic drones released species-specific pathogens into the air systems of every major alien world. The viruses spread with ruthless efficiency, targeting the genetic markers that Dr. Webb's team had mapped so carefully. Within hours, alien hospitals filled with patients suffering from diseases they had never seen before. Their immune systems had no defense against pathogens designed specifically to kill them. Medical computers that might have helped find cures had already been destroyed by the nanobots. The third attack was the most visible. The quantum virus spread through the galactic communication network at light speed. Within minutes, every alien world lost contact with the outside universe. Fleets found themselves cut off from their home bases. Colonies discovered they were completely alone in the Grand Assembly Hall. The first signs of disaster appeared on the emergency communication boards. Systems across the galaxy were going offline. The great displays that normally showed the status of thousands of worlds now showed only darkness. Chancellor Vextel tried to contact his home world. The communication system was dead. He tried to reach the Third Fleet moving toward Earth. No response. He tried to access the central computer networks that coordinated galactic civilization. Nothing worked. Ambassador Kretl's insectoid features showed the first signs of panic. "What have you done?" he demanded. President Mitchell watched as chaos erupted around her. Alien representatives were trying frantically to contact their governments. Emergency protocols were failing. The great chamber filled with sounds of fear and confusion. "We gave you a choice," she said calmly. "You chose to keep our people as slaves. You chose to threaten our world with destruction. Now you get to experience the consequences of those choices." Dr. Webb stepped forward again. His voice carried clearly through the chamber, despite the chaos. "For 60 years, you believed humans were primitive. You thought we were weak and easily controlled. You were wrong." Captain Vasquez activated her tactical display. It showed the current status of alien worlds across the galaxy. World after world appeared in red, indicating complete system failure. The Great Confederation was dying in real time. "We did not develop these weapons to conquer you," Captain Vasquez explained. "We developed them to save our people. Every system we targeted, we can repair. Every virus we released, we can cure. Every nanobot we deployed, we can recall. But we will only do so after every human slave is returned safely to Earth." Chancellor Vextel stared at the tactical display in horror. His crystalline form had lost its brilliant luster and now appeared dull and gray. "Billions will die," he whispered. President Mitchell felt no satisfaction in his fear. She took no pleasure in the collapse of galactic civilization. But she would not allow her people to remain in slavery. "Then you had better start organizing rescue operations quickly," she said, "because our weapons are still active. Every day that our people remain enslaved, more of your worlds will fall silent." She turned to address the entire chamber. "To all the species present, your governments have 72 hours to begin returning human slaves to designated collection points. Earth vessels will be waiting to transport our people home. Any attempt to harm our people during this process will result in the complete sterilization of the responsible world." The silence in the chamber was profound. The greatest military alliance in galactic history had been brought to its knees by a species they had dismissed as primitive livestock. Ambassador Kretl struggled to speak through his species' panic response. "How many humans can you carry in your ships?" he asked desperately. "All of them," Admiral Rodriguez answered. "We have been building evacuation fleets for 2 years. We knew this day would come." President Mitchell walked toward the chamber exit. Her small delegation followed her through the crowd of terrified aliens. As they reached the doors, she turned back one final time. "You spent 90 years planning to enslave humanity," she said. "We spent 2 years planning our response. The difference is that we actually understood what we were fighting." The human delegation left the Grand Assembly Hall as alien civilization collapsed around them. Within hours, Earth's evacuation fleets would begin the largest rescue operation in galactic history. 4 billion humans would come home, and the species that had voted to enslave them would spend generations rebuilding what their arrogance had destroyed. They would remember forever the day they learned that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons, it was their absolute refusal to abandon their own. The galaxy would never make that mistake again.